And then, of course, this year, today, we're so excited to announce the Distributed Energy Coalition. That might be the first time you've actually seen that phrase. We haven't actually gone public with it yet. Our bill has not been announced. We are pleased to report that we have two fantastic bill sponsors. The bill is through a distributed generation marketplace is going to create more jobs, significantly more jobs, long-term jobs, than any other type of implementation you can find. We are more cost-effective to the ratepayers and the people who have to invest in making this happen. And of course, we believe that we're going to achieve more energy security. The concept behind that is, again, with multiple points of power production, we lead to a more stable and secure energy grid. So again, we're part of the Distributed Energy Coalition. But for now, we're very excited to move into our panel. And I'm going to be the moderator. But I'm very excited to welcome Representative Larry Ahern. He'll be our first one. He's a man who is not afraid to ruffle some feathers in terms of getting renewable energy, John Russell. Michael, and then go back to Alan.
Thank you very much. My name is my title is State Representative Larry Ahern for District 51. Jobs is the bottom line. The governors talk about now over and over.
John Russell.
Thanks a lot, Mike. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to participate in this panel today. From my perspective, I was invited, having been to fair events in the past, and having had placed a considerable emphasis on energy, the environment, and in particular renewable energy. As a candidate for U.S. House of Representatives in Congressional District 5, I'm a nationally certified acute care nurse practitioner. I have an MBA in health systems management. When we talk about my background in politics, I've learned much. And I've learned, well, with all due deference to what's been said so far, it is not. There are considerable barriers, institutional entrenched barriers, that really are of a nonpartisan nature. It is the nature of our political system that prevents progress. And I'll hope to provide a little detail on that today. As a candidate, there you have power, and that power is always being attempted to be usurped by the powers that be in making sure that the status quo is maintained. So I look forward to this discussion. I'm sure you do as well, and I'm sure we'll all learn quite a bit today about renewable energy, how we can move America forward so that we keep up with the rest of the world, actually catch up, because we are behind. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, John. Scott McIntyre, let's hear it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm here essentially representing solar contractors across the state of Florida, and I can tell you right now that we are on life support. We can all act, as Eric would suggest, as Americans to find solutions to our energy issues.
And so there are lots of things you could do, and all those things generate jobs, as you did.
Two things. Energy efficiency is what we do as a company. We do full energy footprinting of commercial structures around the state of Florida. For instance, the Sand Pearl in Clearwater Beach, probably in excess of 10%.
Thank you. I alluded in my introduction to the problems inherent in how our politics operates on money from corporations in order to get elected. What we have to look at is how do we combat these barriers? Utility companies they want to sell as much energy as they can. That's how they make money. For example, energy conservation is the first order of savings when it comes to energy, and then you come into efficiency, as Carl over here said. Now, my energy bills are now running into $125 a month. Why is that happening? So the more you save in conservation, the higher is the unit cost per energy. Now, I can give a whole dissertation on this. When we look at what is happening in this country, specifically locally, Levy County, Progress Energy, that new nuclear power plant that's been proposed that I've attended Nuclear Regulatory Commission hearings on. That is in order to put such a huge capital cost in place that it becomes difficult, it's an immovable object to pull in these new types of power generation, specifically decentralized power generation, distributed energy. And it is this wall, this impenetrable wall that we're fighting. When Progress Energy wanted to put in this capital cost recovery plan, and there's a plaintiff in the audience here today on a lawsuit that was filed, this not being constitutional, and that has since been thrown out by a judge, the lawsuit. This is to build a power plant that many of the people that will be playing into this will never have the opportunity to enjoy the energy from. Now, Germany, this is a 3,000 megawatt plant. Germany in 2007 installed 3,000 megawatts, equivalent to this nuclear power plant, of solar energy. Germany, not Florida. I come from Buffalo, New York. The photons are a lot more plentiful here in Florida, as we're talking here. And there are a multitude of advantages to doing this. The technology has been here for decades now, we can safely say. And with that, why hasn't this gone forward? It hasn't gone forward because of the stranglehold that corporations, specifically in this instance, the utility companies industry and the nuclear construction industry, etc., have on our political system, our legislators, and that's bipartisan, completely bipartisan. So that's something we have to consider in going forward. How do we work against that problem?
From a legislative point of view, and mine is fairly new, this is our best chance. This year and next year, and probably hopefully in the following 2 years, because we have a governor who is of a mindset that he can connect the private sector with.
And by the way, you look a lot better in person than you in this QB.
Some great points that were touched on there. I think John said something about Germany. It's also important to note that Germany has that policy that we won't mention, the FIT policy. They have created 320,000 jobs in Texas directly in renewable energy, directly as a result of this policy. So that's kind of something to look at. Listen, you guys, I feel like you took away my thunder. One question I was going to ask you is, what are the impediments? I feel like we've talked about that a little bit. The other question, this might be too much of a softball.
The state of Florida, and again, I can only talk about myself, but that I don't have any self-interest in this. That it's not about me. It's about history and love for this great state, this country, how I would conduct myself. So I hope that gives you some insight into it and what the others.
When I was running for Congress, the classic question is, why are you running? I would respond to that. Because the people who are charged with representing my interests clearly are not. Now, the fact of the matter is, I'm going to tell you a couple quick little stories. When in 2006, obviously we're trying to raise money. When you're running for Congress, it's a lot of money. I wasn't going to get the kind of money that my incumbent opponent was, because she already was an experienced ball player, playing ball. Okay? In the Washington Mutual parking lot, my friend Jim was with me when I got the final call from a lobbyist for the pharmaceutical industry in Washington, based in Washington, D.C. We had several conversations. And final conversation, obviously this was, after you hear this, John, this is a direct quote, you hear it from me, I was the one in the conversation, the candidate. John, if you're willing to work with, play ball with the pharmaceutical industry, we'll get you all the contributions you want. Okay? I tell the story because most people don't get a chance to talk to someone who's actually done what I've done. And you have this in the back of your head, but you just can't, it's tough to get your arms around it. That's how it works. Okay? So what was my response? Well, I'm a healthcare professional. I understand the business of national healthcare policy because I'm academically prepared in that arena, and I work in healthcare, and no matter what you want to come up with, I can tell you about it at the patient care level. All right? Now, my response to that was, well, as a healthcare professional, I cannot do exactly what my opponent does. That's exactly what she does, and where will my credibility be? I understand the best way to provide affordable, quality health care for the American people is Medicare for all. And of course, we saw what happened with President Obama and his plan, which I do not support. Now, my state representative, this is a $30,000 a year job. Now, my state representative, Mr. Will Weatherford, touted as being the next Speaker of the Florida House. He raised, anyone care to venture a guess? I don't know if this is the most in history of the Florida House. $850,000. Now you got to be kidding me. If you don't think this guy is not doing what he's told to do, and he is playing ball, as did the person I was running against for Congress. This is how it works. This is why we're not moving forward on this. When we talk about job creation, this is the quintessential, maximal producer of jobs in this country at this time and place in history is renewable energy. We are going to have a situation where we are not competitive with the rest of the world. We are going to be sitting in a position where places like Germany have oversupply of cheap energy, and we're going to be paying for this nuclear energy, which is most of the power plants in this country, at least 50% of power plants in this country are at their end of their useful life, which is being extended through some more of this kind of politics that I'm talking about, an extra 20 years, and they're being what's called uprated to as high as 120% of capacity. Nuclear power, which is really the core, as well as the coal-fired power plants, which is another topic with all its problems altogether. This is what we're fighting. We're fighting the utility industry, and we're fighting the politicians that are owned and operated by the utility industry when we talk about energy. So you can talk all you want, and I respect this, and he's new to this. He's new to this, and I've never been elected, but I'm not new to the situation insofar as well as the media, what the media will do if you ask questions that are not supposed to be asked. So I am encouraging people to ask questions, and your email may never be looked at, it may never be answered, but you ask questions publicly of your politicians, and you get your politicians on tape answering or running away from you asking the questions. And that's what I will continue to do, and in the event I run for office again, knowing full well that the nature of the political system, I will be running not as a Democrat, but as a no-party affiliation candidate, because I've never had anyone give an argument against saying that what I'm talking about happens to both parties. Okay? So I got a little bit of that out of the way, and we'll move forward from here.